These young men represent what is more or less America's first generation of disposable children. More than half the guys in the platoon come from broken homes or were raised by absentee, single working parents. Before the war on terrorism began, not a whole lot was expected of this generation, other than the hope that those in it would squeak through high school without pulling too many more mass shootings in the manner of Columbine. The Marines of the 1st Recon have already been living in a Spartan desert camp for 6 weeks when I first meet them early March, about a week before the invasion. I strike up an acquaintance with Lieutenant Fick, commander of the platoon I end up spending the war with. Fick believes in the men in his platoon, and it's because of his enthusiasm that I decided to join his platoon for the war. One of the first men to greet me is Navy Hospitalman 2nd Class Robert Timothy Doc Bryan.
So you came here for war, huh? You like war? I hope you have fun in this war, reporter. No, I'm just messing with you. No harm.
Colbert, the platoon's top leader, is in charge of Team 1. He greets me with a formal handshake and a crisp salutation.
Welcome aboard. Hope your time with us is enjoyable and productive.
His politeness is so exacting, it almost makes him come off like a prick. Everyone freezes for an instant. In the distance, we see Marines in gas masks flagging us. They stand with their arms extended out, bending their elbows and tapping their shoulders. Universal sign for a gas attack. With explosions booming in the distance and now frenzied shout of a gas attack, it's the first time I feel like I'm in war. These are the symptoms of exposure to toxic agents. Unexplained runny nose, sudden headache, sudden drooling, difficulty seeing, dimness of vision, tightness of throat, localized sweating, and nausea. I immediately cycle through all these symptoms. A few minutes later, pulling my mask off, they sound all clear. I'm greeted with a rush of cold air and laughter. It rains after midnight, turning my ranger grave into a mud pit. Temperatures have dropped into the 40s. Everybody is awake, shivering and cold but excited. Clumps of Iraqi soldiers, 6 to 20 at a time, walk along the elevated tracks in front of us.
Nobody shoot. They're not here to fight.
The platoon is sent over to snatch up groups of surrendering Iraqis. The work of stopping and searching all the enemy soldiers is stressful and tedious. Over the course of the morning, the Marines grab about 200 of them, putting them down and searching each one. There are so many Iraqis coming, the Marines wave off dozens, perhaps hundreds more. The 1st Recon doesn't have enough resources to ship the hundreds of Iraqis surrendered by the tracks back to rear units. The battalion support company trucks only have room to transport about 70 of them. The rest of the Iraqis are unsurrendered and sent packing. Person and I sit in the Humvee eating cheese combo snacks, watching the Iraqis limp back along the tracks. At 10 in the morning on April 23rd, 1st Recon drives south on Highway 8 to its final camp in Iraq outside of Ad Duwayna. They end up in a former tank repair yard, and for the next 6 weeks they will end up sleeping on the floor of a 4x4 meter concrete strip. During the day, Marines just lie on the concrete pad with ponchos wrapped around their head. A few Marines have undergone psychotic episodes which are attributed to the overuse of stimulants like Rip Fuel. One Marine in the 1st Recon support unit freaked out early in his stay at this camp. The episode is prompted after a Game Boy disappeared from his rucksack. Early one afternoon, he threatens to kill the suspected thief and screams,
"Did you take my Game Boy?"
The other Marines talk him out of it, and the battalion isolates him for a few days, then returns him to his unit. The Game Boy was never recovered. As I return to the 2nd Platoon's squalid encampment, the men stand around in the dust talking.
The people that can't kill are subject to the people that can.
You really can't top it. Combat is a supreme adrenaline rush. You take rounds, shoot back, stuff starts blowing up. It's sensory overload. It's the one thing that's not overrated in the military.
The messed up thing is, the men we've been fighting probably came here for the same reasons we did. To test themselves, to feel what war is like. In my view, it doesn't matter if you oppose or support the war. The machine goes on.